this video, we will be talking about 24 times One Piece manga or anime messed up big time. Let's start off with the time when Oda mistakenly gave Luffy's scar to Zoro. Actually, in chapter 698, Zoro appears with the thick cross mark that Luffy received from Akainu instead of the thin diagonal scar that Mihawk gave him. This happened to be a drawing mistake by Oda that was later fixed. See, in one of the panels of chapter 599, Oda ended up giving Trafalgar Law's katana to Zoro in place of his Shisui. And in chapter 598 of Jump version, Oda drew Zoro's eye scar in the wrong eye. Well, it is completely understandable how Oda sometimes makes such mistakes here and there, as he has been drawing the One Piece manga day in and day out for more than 20 years. But in comparison to Toei's mistakes, Oda's work seems flawless, because there was a time when the studio ended up putting two Zoros in the same frame. And no, they had no intentions of adding Zoro's twin brother to the story. Listen, in this scene of episode 261, Zoro saves Luffy from a sneak attack by this goofy-looking dude. This is when we witnessed two Zoros, one saving Luffy and the other standing in the back with the rest of the crew. Alright, I have to admit, Toei really messed up this scene, but this is nothing compared to the time when they gave Crocodile two hands. So, we all know that the crocodile has a hook attached to one of his arms, but Toei animators for the anime didn't remember that and left both of his hands intact for this scene. That's not it. Oda himself repeated this mistake on the cover page of chapter 398, but he fixed it later. Y'all must remember this character from the Amazon Lily arc. In this scene of episode 409, the animators implanted an extra leg onto her out of nowhere, and when I was watching this episode, I myself noticed it, and boy oh boy, it left me so confused. When Ace paid a visit to Shanks, the animators again made a mistake and depicted Shanks having both of his arms intact, despite the fact that he had already lost an arm at that time. Well, if you think these random implantations by the Toei animators stop there, then you are completely wrong, because in this scene, when Nami jumps off the Sunny to the Sky Island, she literally has 6 fingers on her right leg. Moving on further, did you guys know that the first division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, Marco, made his first appearance way early in the series? But despite that, most One Piece fans wouldn't have even noticed because his first appearance looked nothing like the Marco we know today. This is how Marco looked during his debut scene in episode 151 of the anime, and man, he looks ugly. But there is no way he is as ugly as Kaido and Big Mom's first appearances. Big Mom and Kaido were first seen as silhouettes, but these early depictions were very different from their subsequently revealed real-life forms. Firstly, their silhouettes were shown in episode 314, when Garp was explaining to Luffy and the Straw Hats about Shanks' current status. Second, they were revealed in episode 570, when Jinbei gave the Straw Hats information about the geopolitics of the One Piece world in the Fishman Island arc. And as you can clearly see, they appear to be nothing like their original design. Mentioning legendary pirates, did you guys know that Oda originally drew Roger's signature mustache as his nasal hair? And it was very evident in his initial design. Man, Oda sure loves drawing his characters with a goofy touch. Anyway, we have already talked about how Toei animators added 2 Zoros in one frame, which is very similar to the time when Oda drew 2 Straw Hats on Luffy. Listen, when Luffy extends his arm to save Zoro after his massive L against Dracula Mihawk in chapter 52, we see Luffy with 2 Straw Hats. Now, from Luffy onto Zoro yet again, where Oda forgot to draw Zoro's scar in the color spread of chapter 699, however, it was later fixed. Man, I have to admit that out of all the Straw Hats, Oda messed up the most while drawing Zoro. Furthermore, you guys must have remembered these creatures known as blue gorillas from Impel Down arc. They were employed as guards in that prison. These mindless creatures are controlled by Salda, who plays the flute to control them. They wear a light blue cloak and have thick blue fur on them. But animators misrepresented them with a white cloak and black fur in opening 11. Talking about changing the color schemes, these guys are called the Funon Brothers, and they serve under Buggy. In the One Piece film Stampede, their entire appearance was altered to the point where they were almost unrecognizable. Okay, these pirates might have lost their original appearance, but this is nothing compared to the time when the wrong spelling changed the whole identity of a character and gave birth to one of the funniest memes of One Piece. See, in episode 52, a Marine can be seen wearing a hat with M-A-R-N-E, Marn, engraved on it, rather than the more typical Marine. This character was originally called Mashikaku, and he used to work under Smoker and Tashigi. Following the discovery of the typo, the English-speaking audience began jokingly referring to him as Marn, the Marine, and this quickly became a well-known meme in the One Piece community. Guys, I'm feeling bad for Zoro, but we still have to talk about the time when Zoro started using the 5-sword style. Actually, in episode 314, when Garp visits Luffy and his crew, along with Kobe and Helmeppo, Zoro defends Helmeppo's attack attack with 2 swords in his hands and 3 more in the sheath at his waist, which was an animation error. Alright, now let's move on to Blackbeard. Did you guys know that in the manga, Blackbeard's left hand held the Yum Yum Nomi's power and his right hand held the Gura Gura Nomi's power? In the anime, they're the opposite. 2A animators fixed that in later episodes though. So far, we have been discussing animation or drawing errors, but the next one is so ridiculous that it will make you all cry yourself to sleep in your mom's lap. Hear me out. In episode 76, Ussop misses his target and ends up burning Luffy's red shirt, which reappears out of nowhere in the next shot. Damn, 2A animators sure work sloppy some days. Subscribe to the channel right now, or Ussop will burn your mom's favorite dress and blame it on you. Anyways, did you guys know about the time when Kinemon was able to hide in water without facing any problems, despite being a devil fruit eater? This really doesn't make any sense. Moving on. We have already talked about how 2A workers sometimes slack off while working and make some stupid mistakes, but 4Kids had them beaten in their own game. See, Ace is referred to as Portgas D. Trace in the 4Kids adaptation of the anime, and the tattoo on his shoulder that bears his name has been removed. Although they changed his name to the correct Portgas D. Ace for the uncut home release, they kept it in the edited for TV Funimation dub. Well, 4Kids has their own list of crimes, which we'll discuss in another video. Now, let's move on to the next mistake, which is this. Ussop is famous for his cameos in other crewmates' wanted posters, but this was not the case in the first reveal of Zoro's poster, and he was later added to that. In fact, Ussop had this funny shadow of him in Zoro's poster where he impersonated Crocodile, which is pretty iconic. However, it was missing from the first reveal of Zoro's wanted poster because the animators forgot to include it. Okay, this has to be the funniest mistake of the video. In episode 28, Luffy fell into the water after defeating Don Krieg, and Sanji jumped in to save him. While unconscious, Luffy somehow changed his hand position when Sanji tried to wake him up. Nico Robin was going to be a man! Gecko Moria and Crocodile had way different draft designs. And to know 40+ other intriguing facts that will leave y'all flabbergasted, click on this video right now.